So Noreen brought up that it's not about you when you're out there and serving, but it is about you when you're doing your mindset transformation entertainment. Like it has to be entertaining because if it feels the same, if it doesn't feel new, then it's going to be old and you're going to miss the gems of really being as high in spirit, as quantum leap as you want to be. And Lorenzo, I'm going to see if you are available because I'm transitioning into you. If not, I'll just keep riffing. But that's what this is about. It's about really connecting the dots of who you are. Um, oh, Lorenzo, you can show your video too, because we're ready for you, my friend. And when we start thinking about numbers out there, and that, let's say you do a video and maybe only 4 likes, and you go, man, what happened to the 40 people? Or like, I wish I got hundreds. I saw so and so, and they got hundreds of likes. And you start comparing yourself and you start going down that route of like naysaying yourself. Lorenzo's going to jump into that because that's what he truly believes is he understands what I call is like the new school way. And he's going to explain it in his expertise as he works with people, really getting out there, helping them know that everything's going to be okay. As long as you lead with the heart, as long as you do what you love to do, everything else is going to come together. Lorenzo, what do you think about that stuff I'm talking about?
Hello, Randa. Hello, Noreen. Hello, everyone watching. Thank you for having me. I am a billion percent with you on that. Absolutely. This is what my entire motto, and not just business, but and everything I do. This is what I base everything around. It's about connection, about coming and being aligned.
Lorenzo, let's start first with you work with leaders with a heart. And I know it's your
Yes.
podcast, you're getting ready to do a book and you're seeking people who want to be part of that book. This is so fabulous because you're an international best-selling author. So I know we're going to get to that at some point, I'm believing.
Thank you.
What does it feel for you when we start talking about what you do? Leaders up with heart. What is all that
Leaders with a heart.
with a heart?
Yes. So what I do basically, my podcast is I see it as bigger than a podcast. My vision is to create to build a platform and a global movement of where I am going to be bringing in and inviting entrepreneurs that are building impactful businesses with a cause, with a purpose, with a mission, so that together we can, for example, when you came on my podcast, when I bring anyone on my podcast, it's one thing for me and them to have a wonderful conversation, but the ultimate goal, the bigger goal is for us, through you and other guests sharing their story, they're powerful, they're impactful, the goosebump inducing story. The goal is to inspire, even if we can inspire just one entrepreneur to do good with their business and help someone else, and then that person goes on to help someone else, and so on and so forth. Then together we can create a ripple global effect that's going to change the frequency, vibration, and energy of this planet. So that's my ultimate vision. My podcast, I see it not just as a podcast, I see it much bigger. As I said, a platform and a global movement. And so far, since I started this journey 18 months ago, it's been one of the greatest things I've done in my life. By far, the best business decision I've ever done was to start my podcast, and I've connected with over 200 amazing, phenomenal leaders with a heart. I just reached episode 200 just a week ago, and I'm beyond blessed because this has been an incredible blessing for me and for what I do. It's connected me to to incredible people, and you know what? I'm only getting warmed up, so it's fun.
More
Because
love
my
is
vision,
more
even though I
energy.
just reached 200, my vision is 2 million episodes. So that's is my goal to reach in my lifetime. If God blesses me with the health and the time and the wisdom, my goal is to reach 2 million, episodes. So through that, even if I were to reach just one person per episode, if I can help 2 million people in my lifetime, then my mission has been successful.
Lorenzo, have you always understood like the heart sensor was more of a transformation before you got there? What's your background in the heart area?
Actually, even though, as I keep saying all the time, and I realized that I was never religious, but I always believed in God. I've had a spiritual awakening since the start of the pandemic. But even growing up, even as far as I can remember, I've always was very hard driven. Even I remember when my parents were to take me to kindergarten. If there was a kid beside me that didn't have a toy, or even when my parents were bringing me some what do you call it? What's the word in English? Some snacks, for example. Sorry, English is my fourth language, so sometimes I have to look for names. So even when my parents were bringing me snacks or whatever at school, if the kid beside me didn't have anything, I wouldn't think twice, just sharing it with them, or even sometimes just giving it outright. I've been growing up, I was very spoiled. My father was a geologist, archaeologist, who was always around the world working on amazing, locations, bringing me amazing gifts. And I would think nothing about not just sharing my gifts, the present my father was bringing me with a neighbor's kid or whatever. I would even a lot of time just let them have it, because I was always a giver, a helper, from as far as I can remember. And that was one
Wow.
of the most powerful, I would say, values that both my parents have instilled, not just in me, but in all of us, my siblings, and my family. Because even my parents were extremely big givers, extremely heart-centered individuals.
I love that you're talking about just like legacy of what your parents, set up in this world. It must be a generational thing too, of really
Oh
being
yes,
able to connect with that heart. And I feel it too, because when I was on your podcast, everybody at the Fresh Inspiration Show, Noreen, you check out Lorenzo. He has a big thing where you want millions of shows out there. So if you are leading with the heart, you want to definitely connect with him. Um,
thank you.
let's let's my friend go into what you are venturing into about leading with the heart and growing business. What does that mean? When it's an organic reach what you're doing and how you're doing it, we're in the new way of like looking at like what these numbers are when you said have 200 people and that like you're blessed with that because when you're leading with the heart, there's some things that are happening for you where you have a thriving business. Can we go in
Yes.
that area?
Yeah, let me give you first some background on that, because as I said, I'm a strong believer in that as entrepreneurs, it's our duty and responsibility to do good, not only because doing good is the right thing to do as a human being, but also doing good is very good for business. When your business is not just about profit. Sure, we all need to make money, but let's do so in a way that is meaningful, impactful, purposeful. When your business is built around impact, around doing good, around a purpose and a cause, not only is it a lot more fun, it's also a lot more fulfilling for you. And as a result of that, you attract a completely different breed and caliber of clients to your business, as opposed to the one that's going to be, if you're running just another Me Too, for example, a profit driven company, the chance of you attracting, the kind of customers and client that would be a pain in the butt, always nickeling and diming you, would be very high. Because when you're building a impactful driven company, the type of client that you will be attracting will be completely aligned with you. They understand, you share, they espouse your vision, and as a result of that, they will be a joy to work with. I can't tell you how many times. First of all, the people I bring on my podcast, they're not just my guests. They're not just a guest on the podcast. The clients I get to my podcast is not just a line on a spreadsheet. We become actual friends. We get on calls, I would say at least once or twice a month, just to catch up. Hey, how's your mother? How's your father? How's your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever? Just like we don't talk about business. It's not a sales call or nothing. It's just catching up. Just, hey, how's everything? And try to give them some tips on their business. So what are you struggling with your business here? They just tell me, and then they ask me, what are you struggling? We become friends, and as a result of that, I've had the honor of having 200 amazing guests on my podcast, and I can say, and that's probably the greatest gift, 200 amazing friends. My life has been enriched with 200 amazing friendships as a result of that, or from around the world. So for me, doing business, as I said, yes, we all need to make money, but let's do so in a way that's meaningful, impactful, and purposeful. And as a result of that, you attract a completely different breed of clients. Speaking of business, I've built this current business I'm doing. This business, I didn't even I had no idea to monetize my podcast. Sorry, I had no plans on monetizing my podcast when I started my podcast. And then people reached out to me. So as I said, my podcast is not a big podcast yet. I have over just up until a month ago, I had only 200 subscribers on YouTube. But it's not the numbers. Business is not a numbers game, despite what all the gurus are trying to make us believe. Sure, numbers matter, but ultimately, business is a relationship nurturing process. We do business with people who can connect and relate. Like, for example, when you're Randa or when you're Noreen, you're looking, say, for an accountant or a realtor. Sure, they all qualify, they all have all the credentials, but the one you do business with is the one you get along the most as a person. If you don't connect with them as a person, you don't care if the person has done $1 billion in sale in the last 10 seconds, if they have 55 pages after their name, that doesn't matter. What matters is connection. And that's what everything I do in my business, my life, everything is based around that. But as a result of that, even though I've had up to not long ago only 200 subscribers, but that didn't stop me from building a wonderful business because again, it's not the numbers, it's a quality, it's the connection, it's the interaction. It's much better to have, say, a podcast, a YouTube channel that say 1,000 followers, but they really care about you, they really connect with you and relate and visit with you, than having 1 million followers who don't give a damn about you. So I don't know if that answers your question, but for me, the most important point is business is a relationship nurturing process. So some people do that better through, say, blogging, through writing books. For me, because I love talking, it's about podcasting.
I love talking. Like I feel like when I'm with you, first off, when I'm with you, I just smile and laugh
Thank you.
because I feel like we get to attract people that love this, that appreciate this space. And I love what you're talking about with business and how you get to attract those people instead of being in the cerebral and saying, okay, they do this, check check check, they answered these questions and we put a form out there exactly the way that I want them to. But it's the conversation. It's
Exactly.
like those vocals, you get to hear the inflection and the love they have for what they're doing, but also the love for you, the love for themselves. So I find that if you are doing your work and you're learning to love yourself, like you're in that space where you're like, man, I love you when you're talking to yourself, that when you're talking to others, you just automatically want to put love on somebody else. And so I found when I was on your podcast, I was just giggling. I was happy. I felt freedom and I felt like just like totally safe. Anything I said, you were ready to, to ask that next question and it didn't feel calculated. And I find that, this is going to come into a question, but I find that when we feel like things aren't being calculated,
Yes.
like and we can hear some things that our clients are saying when we help them, making and helping them grow their business or their podcast or whatever, that it's not that like I'm trying to get somebody to sign up. It's more like, well, have you said yes to them first? Like, are they fun? Are you being playful with them, or you feel safe with them, and are they feeling the same way? So is that what's your process when you just know like you want to invite somebody in to what you are teaching, or invite them in because you want to interview them? What's your process that you go through to be able to bring somebody into that next level to be one of your 200 plus friends?
Well, the first thing I do is, again, other podcasters, they, for example, they have some vetting process. Like, for example, is this person already making 6 figures? Is this person already doing this? For me, I don't care about that. The first, the one question I ask, and that's the most powerful question, is what is the impact you're having in the world? How are you making a difference around you? And if I see the person is all about money, and I'm not here to judge because I was that person up until my spiritual awakening 2 years ago, I was all about the money, like just any other guys out there. But since I've understood that there's much bigger things than money out there, and when you focus on impact, the money is going to take care of itself. Literally, it's not just cliche. You don't have to work for it. It's going to come to you. For me, the only question for vetting I ask them is, so what is the impact you're having out there? What is a cause that is really dear to your heart? And whatever the answer, I listen. And once I bring them on a podcast, and on the podcast, I don't script. And that's one of the things that I do. And I also teach my students is don't speak from the mouth. Don't even speak from a script, but speak from here, from the heart. Whether you're having a conversation one-on-one, whether you're writing an email, a book, on a podcast. So for me, it's all about being as authentic, as transparent, as genuine as possible to have an organic, natural conversation. So even you were on my podcast, it was not like an interrogation FBI style. You have 10 seconds to answer any question. It was more like, hey, we just talk, have a friendly conversation over coffee. I'm having a cup of tea right now. Just have a sure. There will be a structure. What's your story? What's your background? What's the impact you're having out there? But they will, just like any conversation we have on a daily basis, questions will automatically pop up, and that's where the direction will go.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, and that's why I barely do any editing on my podcast. I want to keep it as real, as authentic, as raw as possible, because this is the way that people can really relate with you. If you produce a podcast or a YouTube channel, whatever, and if they see you right away, like a perfect Hollywood style production with a wonderful studio, yeah, that's gonna help. But people will have a hard time relating with you. It's okay for you. Even I tell my students, when you're recording a podcast, if a kid comes around, or if a cat comes around and meowing while you're on a call, that's okay. Leave that. People love that because people want to see you. And and you remember that when you were on my podcast, and that's the first question I ask people. It's who's Randa as a person, as a human being, first and foremost. We're gonna talk about your business later on, but I want to know who's Randa as a person, because on my podcast, I love to have what I do is I want to have a look under the hood, so to speak, to see what's in your heart, to have a heart to heart conversation. Hence, the name deals with a heart. So, this is what I do. I want to get to know the person, get to build connection, trust, and rapport. And then, whatever happens, it's going to be a natural progression. I'm not pitching on the call, I'm not selling or anything. I'm not trying to have a discovery call with you or trying to be sleazy and try to get information about your business, see if I can help you. No, it's have a conversation first, because this is how business is done. Have a conversation, get to know the person. If there is a connection, if you see that there is a match, then it's going to be a natural, automatic, organic progression.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm breathing it in.
Good.
Okay. So what I'm getting here, Lorenzo, is that if we lead with the heart and we give ourselves time, not just one call like that, I'm going to close the deal. We're going to do it in 45 minutes. You kind of like have this all strict kind of scenario going on in your brain, and you're trying to seal the deal kind of thing, old school. What I'm hearing is, let's don't be doing that anymore, because it's not helping the transformation in the world. So if we are saying, see if I'm understanding you, that if we're saying, I'm here and this is what my podcast is called, it even has heart in it. So my truth, which we need a lot of truth these days, because that's where we find where we can make a safe space for somebody so that they can shine, and that we can also connect with them and get to know them quicker, so that we don't feel like, it takes years to get to know somebody before we're like, oh yeah, I think we need to work together so we can grow this passion and transform this world, which is what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're doing that connection. So if your podcast is called that, then how do you come into these conversations, which you are saying, come in as you, come in and connect, ask those questions. I want to know what's under the hood. Like you see this nice car and you're like, yeah, so everything's checked off, and yeah, it sounds about right. But then your first questions that you're leading with in conversation behind the scenes, before you even start giving them acknowledgement of being on the show, making sure that they're connected, is that you're saying, I want to connect with you. So when you're doing that, is there any routine that you do for yourself? And this is getting me actually even closer. This thing that you're speaking about, like you were about the money at first, like, because you're like, I'm running a business, and like that scarcity feeling, this is where I want to go. How was that feeling? You said a couple of years ago, things got you more into truth. All of a sudden, you realize, you're right, I don't want to do business like that anymore. And you switched. What's that sweet spot where you already knew you had the heart, but you weren't able to culminate that yet because you were thinking strategy and kind of like, let's hear what somebody has to say, because they have to have those little status things before I'll even talk to them to try and get them into the next layer. What happened a
Well, I
couple
had to
years
learn
ago?
that the hard way because I was always struggling with so-called closing sales. And I'm still struggling with that. I'm not a good salesperson. I suck at it. Plain simple. I suck at it. I'm a bad salesperson. So
I
for
love
me,
this authenticity, Lorenzo. I love it.
I had to look for other ways to sell because sure, we need to make money, but let's do it in a way that is not just about me, but how can I help you? What can I really benefit you? Because as Zig Ziglar says, you want to have everything you want, help other people get what they want, or maybe it's the other way around. Help other people get what they want, and you'll get what you want yourself. So I tried to see how I can implement that because that approach seemed much more natural for me than me trying to spam people and say, "Did you get a chance to see that? Do you have any question or ready to go?" Because I hated that myself when someone, and I'm sure all of you guys get that. You get friend requests on Facebook all day long, and the first question they say that they pitch you right away. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
I don't even bother with that. So I said, and I responded to some people. I said, listen, thank you for reaching out. I only do business with people like I know and trust. If you want to do business with me, get to know me. If not, sorry, next. I just maybe if I could, I would put that directly on my Facebook banner, but because that is so true, and that I took courses. I spent a lot of money on so-called courses and coaching and all that. And that was the approach they were teaching you. Spam, spam, spam. It's a numbers game. Message 200 people a day. One will say yes, and then go on a call. I mean, that is really boring. That's not business. Because if that was business, I would have quit. I would have got a 9 to 5. That's not what I want to do it. So instead, I said, what other way I can do it? What's a natural way to do business? And I looked at some of the people I know in family, old school people, and I realized, hey, these people, it's a relationship. They do business with people they know. Like for example, let's say you want to looking for a good, reliable, whatever lawyer. The first thing you do, you ask your friend, hey, do you know a good lawyer or whatever? They will tell you even before going on Google, because I trust the person much better than Google. Same thing here. So I try to build that. How can I do that? How can I help that? And that's what I've been doing. And yeah, it wasn't easy. It took me a year and a half to build that foundation, but nothing worthwhile is there's no shortcut. You have to learn it. You have to do it because if you're trying to, as you say, fake it till you make it, people will see through you. There's no magic pill on that. If you're just trying to be nice, just to see fake nice, fake smile, just to get a sale, people will see this. So you know what? Sorry, I got a call. I have to go and never hear from them again. But
Lorenzo, you're speaking so much. I want to tell you because we actually Dodie has some questions for you here
yes,
in our group. But I got to tell you, what I'm feeling is so if how I feel because I'm right in alignment. So tell me if I want to emphasize this. How I feel, how somebody's approaching me, and that you feel like okay, well they've looked at what I do, and they're trying to connect with me. And they say, man, I really like this and this and what you're doing, and I really want to connect with you. That makes me feel good. And so that's kind of the processes I'm hearing that you're putting in there too, like to be able to find people that are in this heart center, want to connect, and you're already getting to know somebody if you're personally reaching out to somebody too. Is that right? Also, so on your side, what you're doing as you're growing your podcast and the people you're speaking with.
yes, absolutely. So again, it's all about making people feel that they matter, that you care about them, not just as a way for you to make a sale, to get a sale out of them, but trying to really get to know them,
Yeah,
get to really connect with them, build trust and rapport. So whenever I see someone or someone is referred to me, the first thing I do, I get on a what I call a meet and greet call, like half an hour, just to talk, just to get to know each other. Hey, what are you doing? What's your impact? What's your story? What's your background? No business at all. And then usually they are the first one to tell me, so what do you do? And that's when we transition into business. Because again, not even step one, step zero is building that foundation, that trust, that foundational trust.
yeah,
Once you build that, then they will reach out to say, hey, Randa, what are you doing, by the way? And
yeah.
that's what you tell them, say, hey, that's exactly what I need, or this is a perfect time we connected because that's exactly what I'm looking for. And this is how business happens. If you base everything on trust, on rapport, on relationship, this is how you know, you guys made me laugh because that's one of my cheesy lines. I say, when you connect with your exact ideal listener client, especially through a podcast, you will not have to pitch, to sell, to convince, to seduce, or kidnap them to do business with you. They will come after you.
Kidnap. Oh, totally. They
To
feel
seduce or
hijacked. They're like,
kidnap. Oh,
really?
absolutely. I put a gun to the head. You gotta do this. I'm gonna.
And I did that in my early stage too, and it's like you just don't feel good, but you're like, did I do it right? Like, did I follow the script? And so
Yeah.
Lorenzo's saying, throw that script out. Let's get to know each other. Okay, so
I don't
don't
use any script. The only
you're
script is
do not. If
heart.
somebody gives you a script, you know you're in the wrong place. But also,
Absolutely.
you get that beautiful space with somebody when you're helping them do something.
Yes.
So if they end up being a client, they go, wow, this is bigger than what I really thought it was going to be. No one can explain this because they start seeing themselves and all the beauty and they start relaxing and doing something precious in their space too. So Dodie says, I love this, by the way, Dodie, excellent. So you lead through the heart. Do you, whether those new clients who have struggled a rough road and do you stick with them until that passes and their light can finally shine through? Lorenzo
Absolutely.
asking.
So the clients I take on, as I keep saying, I'm not in the business of selling a bunch of memberships. I'm in the business of collecting success stories, testimonials, and case studies. Even before, when my background is e-commerce, even when I was in e-commerce, when people ask me, so what do you do? I wasn't telling them I'm selling products online. I would tell them I'm a collector. Oh, what do you collect? I collect success stories, testimonials, case studies, and I do the same thing. As a result of that, I keep my programs. I run a program which is to help people launch a podcast in 3 weeks. Not any podcast, but podcast can allow them to get their exact ideal clients, paying clients with zero ad spend. So when I get these people, I keep my classes about 5 to 10 people because I want to work with them almost on a one-on-one basis. And as I said earlier, because of that deep connection, we become friends. So people that join my program, they are members for life. Anytime they have a question, they can shoot me a question on Facebook, or if there's something, whatever. I'm really happy to jump on a Zoom call with them. So I'm not like the kind of guy that say, oh, you want extra access to me? That's an extra $1,000, because that's not how I do business. Once you're in for life.
Yeah.
You have a question, I'm here for you. Because for me, I'm a collector. I collect success stories, testimonials, and case studies. My goal is to see 100% success in every person I work with, and I've turned down people down because it's not just because you have the money, but if you're not first of all, if you're not aligned with me with what I want to achieve, which is building impactful businesses, or if you're not committed, you're going to be a pain in the butt. I have no problem telling you, sorry, this is not for you, because I don't need the money. Sure, we all need to make money, but sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't need the money that's going to be a pain in the butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I hear you. And so when people are transitioning out, say they're with you for like 6 months, or they're doing or you do like a course with them, that when they leave, you are a collector. You're looking for people that are
sure.
leading with the heart. And I hear you, Lorenzo. So Dodie has more stuff. She says, okay, so there's somewhere in here where she was saying, except we have to trust as well, Lorenzo. So can you go into the trust factor? Can you share with what that means? Because Dodie is really saying, hey, this all sounds good, but there's something in there for her that she wants to hear more about trust.
Well, the trust is built over art conversations. For example, when me and you get, even before me and you, even before me, let's not even talk about me and you doing business. Even before, the first step, number 0, is for me to get on a discovery, not a discovery call, on a meet and greet call with you. I don't do discovery calls because I suck at them. So, and I'm honest. So what I do is I get on a call, meet and greet, just to get to know you. I share my story, you share yours. And if I see you're good, you have a powerful, impactful, inspiring, goosebump inducing story that is worth sharing on the podcast, I'll invite you on my podcast. Then on my podcast, I get to dive even deeper to get to know you as a person, as a human being, first and foremost. And then we get, because again, the people I bring on my podcast are not just a guest. We become friends. So we keep in touch. We have this conversation on an ongoing basis. And then that's our relationship grows, and and that's where trust is built. There's no shortcut on trust. Trust is not just built after a 10-minute conversation. It's something that is built over time. Real meaningful trust. And this is how I've been able to do so over the past 18 months, since October 2020, when I started my podcast, since I engaged myself into that wonderful journey of podcasting. Again, when I started, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to have conversation because I live in a small town outside of Toronto. Half the year we're frozen, and the rest of the year we were in a lockdown. So I just want to have conversation with people. But
Yeah.
then that transitioned beautifully into wonderful conversation, wonderful relationships, and everything else that has blessed my life ever since. But again, the trust factor is something that is built over conversations. And whenever I'm also active in a few groups, and also when I talk there and I'm invited in groups to talk. And again, I never go with any scripts. I speak from the heart. Even the books the 2 chapters I contributed, I just sat down and I just, it's almost as if the message was channeled through me because I spoke from the heart. And that's what I do, what I teach people, not just teach, even my siblings, my niece, my nephew. I always tell them, hey, listen, you don't need a script. Just be truthful, be honest, be authentic, and the best way to do so is just speak from the heart. You don't need to invent some crazy things, because the moment you start inventing, you're gonna be forgetting, and you're gonna make an ass out of yourself. Because people will see that you're just pretending, or you're trying to, God forbid, lie or whatever. No, just be truthful. When you're truthful, you don't need scripts. You don't, and that's when people can see. Again, I don't know if that answers the question, but it's about being truthful, being honest, being transparent. Once you have that, once in a genuine way, then people will see that, and that's when the trust will start and grow.
I'm looking over here because I have some more stuff I want to share with you that's coming in
Sure.
within our group too. Lorenzo, also just kind of riffing back with you about that is, the hardest thing that I heard years ago that just didn't feel right, but I was like, man, do I have to really play this game? It was the fake it till you make it.
Oh
And
yes,
that
I
one just
hated
like
that.
totally affected me. I was like, okay. And then every time I would go and do something, I was like, I didn't fake it enough because I realized that that wasn't fueling me. So
Yeah,
anything that's
same for
fueling you
me,
is
because
right.
I was always, again, an awful liar. That's probably why I'm not good at selling. I wanted to be, my parents wanted me to be a lawyer, and that's why I said no, because I almost went to law school. But when I realized that, hey, wait a second, I don't want to be a liar. I don't want to be a lawyer. So because I can't do it, it's against me.
Yeah, I got you, my friend. Wow. Dodie said, boy, she agrees. She says, be real and true, caring. She said, thank you, Lorenzo. So you
Very
really
welcome.
great conversation. And Lorenzo, we've had some people checking in. Laura Holbrook, Heidi Wild, and yeah, we're the group is starting to come together. Wow, thank you.
Hello,
Um,
everyone.
yeah, Dodie has been doing some great questions. Thank you, Dodie. Hey, anybody else in the community, just keep adding on. I'm right here for you. Lorenzo, the let's get into what you've been talking about. Let's go a little deeper with this about some people are learning to what that feels like to be authentic. Like the word authentic is pretty challenging when you are learning to go inside and understand like what how you play with that. And also saying, some people say, oh, lead with your heart. And then you start feeling like you're trying to say, well, if you okay, that's easy for you to say, but I'm so angry at so and so, I can't really get to my heart. So, can we go into those two components to express how it feels within your body? Is there a way, like if somebody's saying, Lorenzo, I like the stuff you're doing, and I'm trying to, not have a script. I'm trying to, get into running my podcast, but I'm having a hard time really authentically being myself, or I'm comparing myself to others because I can't get there. What is it that you acknowledge within yourself, or you have been able to, where you can help people really start to transition to be able to feel that and see that for themselves, so they know they're getting in deeper and they can start moving into that deeper transition because
Great question.
that background.
Great question. I've seen that in my life. I've been blessed to have lived and done business around the world for many years, and also in my since I got into podcast and all that. One thing, even myself, one thing we all do, no exception, is that we don't value enough our skills and our story. And one thing that was really painful, and I, after I finish each round of my podcast and classes, I have a graduation ceremony, so to speak, online, where I invite the people that just graduated, give them a nice, gift and present, which is a diploma. And then I ask them, what was the number one thing holding you back to start your podcast before? And they said a few times, some people said something that really hurt me, because I was in the shoes and said, I thought my message didn't matter. I thought, who am I to share my story? Who would listen to me? I am not some celebrity. I'm not, I don't have a billion people after me as a followers. I'm not the best looker, whatever excuse you can think of. And then that's something that I resonate strongly with, because I felt like that, because we take our skills, our strength, our experience, our wisdom for granted. For us, there's nothing special, because it's just, we have it all day long. I can't tell you how many times, Randa, I've talked to someone, even after just an hour meet and greet conversation, and I tell them, so what do you do? They tell me something. I said, what's your business? And I notice, oh my God, you're sitting on a gold mine. Have you thought about this? Because this is what you're really good at. And I've that happened to me as well, because again, as I said, sometimes we don't look what's right in front of our nose. We want to go for something shiny and far and complicated and all that, as opposed to, hey, just look under your nose. You have it right here in front of you. And that's how I tell my people, the people that I talk to, listen, take a look at at all of the things you've achieved. Your story does matter. Even if your story can inspire just one person, then that's you've succeeded in life. Because we all go through our fair share of difficulties, challenges, strategies, whatever you want to call it. Sure, they hurt a lot when we go through that, but they're meant to happen for us, because life is a school for us to learn lessons, and then those lessons become part of our story, and then that story becomes our gift, and then that gift becomes our responsibility. And one of my major understanding of life, especially over the past 2 years, is that sure, we come here not only to learn lessons, but then take those lessons and share them with the world. That's the ultimate gift, the ultimate purpose we're here for, all of us. Because if we were to just learn the lessons and grow and become a better person ourselves, we would have achieved maybe 10% of the goal we are here to accomplish. But if we take those gifts, those lessons, and then share them with the world through whatever means you want, whether it's through podcasting, book, even drawing, singing, music, whatever way you want to express yourself. And if you can inspire just one person, then you've helped the entire humanity uplift, because when we help others, we all rise. So, and through doing that, through looking at making people understand and realize and accept that their story is powerful, their story matters, regardless of even if they have zero audience, they have no title after their name, they have nothing, their story matters. Every story matters. Every story matters. Every you matter, and it's our ultimate responsibility in life at a soul level, at least from my understanding, to share our knowledge, our wisdom with others. And the moment you realize that, hey, my story actually matters, what I've done actually is powerful, then people become almost like, it's almost, so to speak, the what do you call it in English? I forgot again. You open your wings, you start to fly.
Yeah.
You take conscience. You become aware of. You become more confident, because again, and that's something I was suffering for the longest time. Said, who am I to launch a podcast? My story doesn't matter. I'm not the best looker. I'm not the best person or whatever. No, that doesn't matter. Your story. It's people don't care about. Sure, that matters, but ultimately, what they want to know is, what can I learn from you? What is a lesson that you can share from your experience to them? And once you do that, I can't tell you how many times some of the greatest feedback I've had were from people that have, after taking my program, they say, oh my God, this changed my life because it opened my throat chakra. Before that, and this is a gentleman that's in his 50s, very successful, lives in California in $1 million property right on the ocean. He said, before that, when I was speaking, people would not pay attention to me or with respect that I thought I deserved. But now I speak eloquently, I speak with confidence, people listen to me, and I know that I'm important. And this is somewhat at a high level. when you hear that, for me, the greatest reward from business, two things: one, the transformation you help achieve, the people that you help, and number two, the wonderful friendships you build along the way. And the money is the icing on the cake. So again, it's all about making people realize and understand that their story matters, their story is important, and now is the time for them to share it through whatever means they're most comfortable with. I don't know if I answered your question. I went on a big tangent, but
Well, I think you're building this thing around confidence and trust, and and getting in there
yes,
and what that means. Because when to feel confident, there's definitely a trust factor there, and you really
yes,
built around what that was. Of course, you answered my question. Of course, you did, because you're talking about the heart. Everything comes from the heart. I tell you. Okay, so
thank
Dodie
you.
said, "Thank you, Lorenzo." And then
You're
she
welcome.
is Dodie's asking, so Lorenzo, what do you say your title is? Because Dodie's saying, are you like a counselor type support? So that would be something that I would think that you wouldn't even touch, saying counselor. So Dodie, I'm asking him this. What do you think, Lorenzo? What's your title that you use so people understand what you do?
That's a that's a fantastic question, and I haven't thought about that because, and I will definitely get into it. But what I do, I love helping people. That's the bottom line. I love helping people get clarity because I've been blessed to have a very varied and rich life in terms of experiences, in terms of being involved in all kinds of businesses. I lived in 10 countries, 4 continents, 6 languages. That
Oh,
I've seen, I'm not saying I've seen it all, but I've seen enough. And that has allowed me to have an understanding of what's going on. And I try as much as I can to share that with people in any way, shape, or form I can. So I can't call myself a counselor or a coach, whatever you want to call it, because I don't want to be pigeonholed. But I am someone that loves helping people. I love helping people getting clarity. And what I love the most, what I found to be very impactful, very powerful, has been through podcasting because that allowed me to share my story. And that's also what allows the people I talk to share their story, to gain the confidence, because I used to be painfully shy. And podcast has been one of the things that's allowed me to once and for all kill my shyness. So so bottom line, ever since I was a kid, I loved helping people.
yeah.
Three things about me: I love helping people. Number one, I'm the biggest connect. I love connecting people. I used to host events when I was living in Asia on e-commerce, on wine tasting. I grew up in the south of France. I love wine, and social events. I love people. I love making people having fun, have a good time. And I'm the biggest cheerleader you will meet because I love empowering, inspiring people to go after their dreams. I don't know if that answers your question, but I just love helping people. I love good people, seeing good people win.
All right,
That,
Jody. So tell. I think Lorenzo did answer, but let's see. I'll have her answer that for you.
but
Um,
that's a great question. Actually, that's great food for
it,
thought for myself. I will definitely ponder on that. Yes. What
and
can I
sometimes,
be?
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes the title like limits stuff too.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
those express words really good. So okay. So Dodie says you sound amazing, like a
Thank
real
you.
person. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please don't mind.
And then she also said, so Dodie was saying she does struggle with confidence, and I'm mostly confident in my career. I was after retiring. I struggle with things. So, like life, Dodie, it sounds like you are talking about life. So, maybe when
Hmm.
somebody comes in with that, what's the gist of the base of like confidence? Like somebody says they're struggling with confidence.
The biggest definition of confidence I've heard is one of my favorite podcasters. I love consuming awesome podcasts. There's a wonderful man called Ed Milet. Is
Oh,
very
yes.
very heavy into the world of finance as well as fitness for men. He's He's close to be a billionaire. He lives in California, but I love his podcast. He said one thing he said I will always remember is confidence is keeping your promises to yourself. When you tell someone that I'm going to do something, when you keep your promise, you do it, then that's going to give you the ultimate self-confidence. What is self-confidence? Is keeping your promises, not to other people, but first and foremost to yourself. Because when you take it, keep it to yourself, then people will see that, people will trust you, and it's like a snowball effect. But ultimately, keep your word to yourself. That's the ultimate kind of self-confidence, because when you keep your word to yourself, when you know that when you say something, people
Yeah.
will people will say, hey, that person is different, is unique, because that's unfortunate. That's not many people like that in the world today. Everybody's washy-washy, making all kinds of empty promises. And I'm not talking about politicians because they're professional, but I'm talking about even normal people, especially in business. You see all this kind of outlandish, claims and all that. And then as soon as they get your money, nowhere to be seen. But ultimately, whatever you say, even if you say, okay, today I'm going to go do half an hour walking. Today I'm going to, cut the lawn or whatever. I'm going to do laundry, whatever it is, something as meaningless as something small. Keep it, do it, because that's how you build, like anything, it's a muscle. When you keep your word to yourself, you will feel different. Hey, okay, that feels good. Now let me try something bigger, more important. I'm going to call that person. I'm going to say that person, I love you, whatever it is. When you do that, your self-confidence will automatically grow, and people will see that, because we're all energy, we're all frequency, vibration. People will see that, and will see that something magic happens. They will be attracted to you like a magnet. Hey, that person is something. If he or she says something, they will do it. I trust them. And again, it comes back to trust. But ultimately, it starts here.
Yeah.
Keep your word to yourself. That's the ultimate form of self-confidence.
And I love the confidence discussion because it's not, I don't think it's discussed enough, because it really is a basic thing. It's like, how do you crack that code? Because I was always very uncomfortable if more than one person would look at me. And even if that one person was looking at me, just one person, I sometimes didn't even look at them because I was so shy because I never had a conversation with them. But so I couldn't even get in with the first conversation. So I was in this incubator space being so concerned about whatever I was dealing with. I was so stuck in the survival mode. So there's some people that are in our community and they are like, they want this so bad, what you're saying, and they're stuck in this survival mode. They can only be around so many people, or they're really sensitive. They don't realize actually how precious that is because they can really feel that energy. Anything you want to speak to about that, Lorenzo? Like you're saying these fabulous things. I know Dodie is saying that you really nailed it and you answered her questions, but I think that's a big one. What do you want to add? We're getting close to transitioning here, and I would love for you to.
What I would like to add is that, when I just lost the thought of my train of my thoughts. What's the question again in a nutshell? Sorry.
I don't know. It's something about when you feel really, because you were talking about feeling shy, and
Yes.
we do have some people that get stuck in survival mode. They're saying, "Wow, everything you
Oh,
say is
yes.
like
I remember. I
helps
remember. Is
my
that,
heart soar." So
you know one common mistake I see a lot of people make is that, and it's not really a mistake because they come from a good intentions, that they want to help everyone with all of their issues and problems. But that's something that only God can do. Unfortunately, me and you, we're not God. So instead, what we need to focus on, find one very specific person with one very specific pain point, and try to reach out to them through whatever means it is. So, and again, and that's one thing I teach my students on the podcast. Step zero is not even step one. What is the purpose of what you're trying to achieve? What is the message you're trying to convey to your exact ideal audience? Who is that person? What is the exact specific problem you're trying to solve? Once we nail that down, then we know exactly who to go after, who to reach out, who to target. Because again, we want we want your message and my message to be not just another background noise, marketing background noise in the in the background. We want it to be magnetic. And how do you achieve that? By getting to really know the person trying to connect with, by speaking the language, by really understanding their pain point, by trying to get yourself in their shoes. And this is what I, one of the greatest realization I've had, and that's really at a profound impact on my business or the way we do things. Because before, given my nature, I wanted to help everyone. But again, my message was not able to connect with them. But now that I've lasered down on specific people, uh, which for me are art-centered entrepreneurs, we're building impactful businesses. Now my message is not for the entire 8 billion people. That's okay. But my message is probably for the 150 million people out there that can really connect and resonate with me, because I want to work with them almost on a one-on-one basis to ensure they succeed so that together we can have an impact. One of my major mottos in life and part of my branding is, even though in math I was not really good growing up in school and all that, I know that 1 + 1 is 2, but in real life, 1 + 1 is 11. Because when two people come together with the same goal and alignment, their efforts are exponentially exploded. So when 3 people come together, it's not 3, it's 111. 4 people together is 1,111, so on and so forth. 1 + 1, 11. That's one of my foundational principles and pillars of everything I do, because not any single individual can change the world by themselves. But if one person can change the world, do a little bit of difference in whatever way they can in their own circle of influence, together, me, I do here something here, you do something here in your neck of the woods, someone else this other part, but together that's going to grow as a ripple around the world. So again, it's small things do matter and do add up, especially when it's about good, because if only I can inspire just one person through me and you, Randa, talking today, and that person goes on to implement that and do good, and if that can give them more clarity, then I've felt that it's been very, very productive for me. It's been successful, because that's what I'm about. I'm about transformation. I'm about helping people, good people win. I'm about good people getting the visibility they need, and show them how to do it in a way that is heart-centered. So again, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's who I am, what I do, and
Yeah.
what I offer.
Well, I wanted to add in, and Dodie, I think that Lorenzo gave you an in here, so I'm hoping that he nailed it for you. And you can ask another question as we are working at the tail end here of his time. It says that's me, Lorenzo, and where people misread my intent, like my heart. So,
It's
Dodie, I
probably
hope.
because the people, again, I don't know anything about what she does or anything. I would love to get on a call with her, not a sales call, just to meet and greet and try to further see how I can help her. But what I'm seeing is that happens when you're trying to get your message to people that are not your audience, that do not resonate with you, that do not cannot relate with you. And that's what I said earlier, because we try to help everyone with all of their issues. And again, that's something only God can do. Instead, let's focus on one very specific person that is as close to you and me as possible, that we understand very deeply, very intimately. So when he or she sees, hears, or reads our message, they will say, "Oh my God, that person understands me. That person speaks my language. He or she has been where I'm now." And that's what the magic is. You want to make your message as intimate so it can become magnetic, as opposed to be just very generic and just a background noise. So I think that's what I've seen from my experience, is that when people are having issues with connecting with the people, is because they're sending their message to the wrong audience. Like, for example, I'm not a doctor, but if I were trying to talk to doctors, I would be lost and I would not be able to understand them, because I don't speak the language. I don't have their experiences and all that. Or for example, if I were to help, say, pregnant women, even though I could learn, I could, do some research on Google, but I will never understand and feel what they're going to, because I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
Plain simple. So find out who is your exact ideal audience, what is exact message you want to convey, and again, what is the number one specific pain point that person that you're trying to reach has, and build your messaging around them. But guess what? That person will also have pain point number 2, number 3, number 4. But those can be beautiful upsells. So build your business, build your messaging around the number one pain point that your exact ideal listener, client, whatever has, and then offer the rest other pain points as add-ons or as beautiful upsells. So I think that's what I've seen to be the main cause. I don't know if that can help you, but I would be very happy to get on a call with you to further see what's going on here and how can I help you,
Yeah, that
and to
sounds.
get to know you most and foremost.
Yeah, and it sounds like like Dodie, it sounds like you're getting this too because you're out there wanting to help people and then you just make sure that you just keep finding those people that it feels right for you. And if you're
Yes.
feeling anything coming back at you, then you're like, "Oh, I'm speaking to the wrong, it's just the wrong space." And so what I like too, Lorenzo, is sometimes it's really fun just to not even talk. Like I
Yeah.
just love being in space with people, and so like that quiet space, it seems to just fuel my heart, and then like little words here and there just kind of build this thing, and so it does. It takes time to get to know people because those pauses you'll see even in the show the way that I run this is you think that you have to just be running this marathon and doing these things and not having any gaps, but that the gaps are the breathing part, the space where you get to breathe in somebody's energy. And that's why I love virtual because we can get
Yes.
anywhere, and there's some that have been struggling with that because we were shut in for a couple of years. And what I
Yes.
started growing more and more is my understanding of the holding space and getting in with how somebody's coming across, what their heart is saying. But I do love the energy when I'm in place with somebody, but to me it almost feels the same because I those vocals and what
Hmm.
somebody's saying is so precious to me. So
Yes.
that's where I want people to get to know how to connect with you, especially the things that you're doing lately about the podcast. And you got your book going and starting up with that. But anything else you want to add in before we transition and get to that?
Well, I'm an open book. You can connect with me on Facebook. I can share my Calendly. I'd be very happy to get on a quick meet and greet call just to get to know each other. And if there's a good fit, and if you have a powerful, impactful, inspiring, goose-being inducing story, I would be honored to have you on my podcast to share your story, and we'll take it from there.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, so we have Laura Holbrook here. We have Heidi Wild. And so share with what's the best way to, is there a URL you want to do,
I
or should
can
we do
share
a
it in
calendar?
the yes, my face best way to connect with me in my Facebook personal Facebook. I'll send you the link, Randa. You can share it. We connected on Facebook, and also you can share my Calendly link, and people can book a time. I'm very active on Facebook. So when they can message me on Facebook, say we connected on Randa's wonderful event, and I'd be happy because again, I get bombarded all day long with all those guys trying to pitch me. So make sure you tell me where you connected, so I don't ignore you and delete you right away. And yeah, I would be happy to connect.
Lorenzo Payment, I am so
And if
appreciative.
anyone wants, sorry, just one thing I want to add. If anyone wants to get to know about my podcast, go on YouTube. It's called Leaders with a Heart YouTube channel. Same title on Apple and iTunes, Leaders with a Heart. And if you want to know about my podcasting academy, my 3 week launch your podcast challenge, you can go directly to the website, which is leaderswithavoice.com.
Awesome. And I'm writing Leaders with a Heart podcast. Okay.
On Apple, iTunes, and YouTube. And the website for the academy is leaderswithavoice.com.
I like that. Leaderswithavoice.com. And I
Yes.
tagged you a few times here, so they will be able
Awesome.
to connect with you in a way that at least get the everything started. I love it. People keep checking in. I love this. This is beautiful. Lorenzo, I know that you may be hanging around. If so, that's fabulous. If
Yes.
not, I got you tagged so you can come right back
Thank
into the
you.
group.
I would like to thank you because it's been very fun. I love talking to you, such a positive person. And today you asked me some amazing questions, especially the question that, again, I'm very sorry, I apologize. I'm not good with names. Sometimes I even forget my own name. The person that asked me, so how do you define yourself? What exactly are you? That's a powerful question. And I will ponder on that and I will get back to you on that as well. Thank you.
That's good. So Lorenzo owes us something. Like what we have. How do you want to express what you do? That was a good one. I like how you riffed on it too. I love saying riff. Like it's like this thing of like just kind of playing back and forth because that really is the quintessential of not having a script. You know, like if somebody asks you a question, like how do I answer that? You know, that will mess you up.
That's why I was in
I
front of exams in schools, you know?
I
Don't
love
ask me exam, just ask me to do it and I will do it. But ask me to remember some details. Next.
it. Okay, my friend, appreciate you so
Thank
much.
you. Pleasure of
This
mine.
hour has gone by so fast, and you
Yes, yes,
served
yes.
nicely, my friend. Appreciate you.
Pleasure's all mine. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.